Most parents never think of helping their children as a financial risk. They think of it as love, a bag of groceries when money is tight, a phone bill that somehow stayed on the family plan, 1 month of rent after a job loss, a car repair that could not wait, a spare bedroom offered for a little while until life gets back on track. None of it feels reckless. None of it feels dramatic. In many families, it feels like the most natural thing in the world. But there is a quiet question many parents do not ask until much later. What happens when helping your adult children begins to weaken your own future? According to Pew Research Center, 59% of parents with children ages 18 to 34 said they had helped them financially in the past year. Pew also found that only 45% of young adults in that same age range said they were completely financially independent from their parents. So this is not a rare story. It is not something happening only in one kind of family, or one kind of town, or one kind of household. It is becoming part of ordinary American life, and that is what makes it so easy to miss, because when something becomes normal, people stop measuring it. A parent may not think much about paying for groceries. They may not count the true cost of keeping an adult son or daughter on a phone plan. They may not view a few $100s here and there as something that could affect retirement, but money rarely disappears all at once. It leaves quietly, through small payments, small delays, small compromises, and small decisions that seemed harmless at the time. 1 month becomes 3 months becomes a year. And before anyone says it out loud, what began as temporary help has become a second household budget. The visible problem is easy to understand. Adult children are dealing with rent, groceries, insurance, car expenses, debt, and the cost of trying to build an independent life. Parents see the pressure. They see the anxiety. They know how expensive life has become, and many step in because they do not want their child to fall behind. But the hidden problem is that many of those parents are carrying pressure too. They may be in their 50s or 60s. They may still have a mortgage. They may be dealing with medical bills, insurance costs, higher utilities, and credit card balances. They may be trying to rebuild savings, protect an emergency fund, or prepare for retirement with less time than they once had. So the help does not come from nowhere. It comes from somewhere. It may come from money that could have gone into savings. It may come from a retirement contribution that does not happen. It may come from a credit card balance that becomes harder to pay down. It may come from delaying a move, postponing retirement, or simply living with one more layer of monthly stress. And because the help is wrapped in love, many parents hesitate to call it what it is, a financial obligation. This is not a story about blaming adult children. The research does not support a simple story of laziness or irresponsibility. For many young adults, becoming independent has simply become harder. The U.S. Census Bureau has reported that young adults are reaching traditional adulthood milestones later than previous generations. In 1975, 45% of adults ages 25 to 34 had moved out, worked, married, and had children. By 2024, less than 25% had reached those same milestones. Pew also reported that 18% of adults ages 25 to 34 lived in a parent's home in 2023. Behind those numbers are real household pressures: rent, food, utilities, debt, transportation, the basic cost of starting an adult life. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that in May 2026, consumer prices were up 4.2% from a year earlier. Food was up 3.1%, shelter was up 3.4%, electricity was up 5.9%. Those numbers are not abstract, they are felt in the grocery aisle, at the gas station, in the rent payment, in the utility bill. In the moment an adult child says, "I just need a little help this month," and for a parent, that sentence is never just about money. It carries memory, responsibility, fear, love. A parent remembers the child they raised, They remember the sacrifices already made. They see an adult son or daughter struggling, and they do not want that child to be buried under debt, lose housing, or fall behind before life has stabilized. So they help. At first, it feels temporary. Just until the next paycheck. Just until the new job starts. Just until rent gets easier. Just until the card balance comes down. Just until things settle. But sometimes, life does not settle quickly, and support keeps going. AARP reported that 75% of parents financially support at least one adult child. AARP also reported average support of about $7,000 annually, with a median of $1,400. Those figures reveal two different realities. In some families, the support is modest, in others, it is much larger. But the deeper issue is not only the dollar amount, it is the timing. $1,000 does not mean the same thing at 32 as it does at 62. A few $1,000s does not carry the same weight when retirement is decades away as it does when retirement is close enough to see. For parents nearing retirement, time itself becomes part of the cost. Money sent out today may not have years to be rebuilt. Savings that pause may not fully catch up. Debt that lingers may follow someone into retirement. A house kept longer than planned may keep carrying costs higher than expected. This is where the trap begins. Helping once may be manageable. Helping during a crisis may be manageable. But open-ended help, without a clear limit or a clear conversation, can slowly change the parent's financial future. Pew found that among parents who help their young adult children financially, 36% said it hurt their own personal finances at least somewhat. That is the part many families do not talk about. A parent may say, "Don't worry about it," but privately, they do worry. They wonder if they can retire on time. They wonder if Social Security will be enough. They wonder what happens if their own roof needs repairs, or their own medical bill arrives, or their own job disappears before they are ready. The Social Security Administration estimated the average monthly benefit for retired workers at $2,071 in January 2026. For many people, that is not a full replacement for a paycheck. It is a foundation, and if someone enters retirement with less savings, more debt, and higher fixed expenses, the margin for error can become painfully small. That is why this subject is so difficult. A parent is not choosing between generosity and selfishness. They are choosing between two responsibilities: the responsibility to help the child they love, and the responsibility to protect the older version of themselves, the version who may one day need security, stability, and independence. Most families do not make that choice in one dramatic moment. It happens quietly. A daughter moves back home after rent becomes too expensive. Her parents had planned to downsize, but now they keep the larger house. The mortgage stays, the utilities stay, the maintenance, taxes, and insurance stay. A son cannot cover car insurance after a job disruption. His parent helps for a few months. Then the help becomes routine, because without the car, he cannot get to work. A parent helps with groceries because they do not want their adult child putting food on a credit card. But now the parent's own credit card balance becomes harder to reduce. None of these choices are foolish by themselves. That is what makes them so hard to recognize. The danger is not always one large financial mistake. Sometimes the danger is a series of reasonable decisions made under pressure. And in many homes, guilt sits on both sides of the table. Adult children may feel embarrassed that they still need help. Parents may feel ashamed for feeling strained. A mother or father may think, "I should be able to do this." They may believe that saying no, or even asking questions, means they have failed somehow. But financial reality does not disappear because the reason is loving. A bill paid for someone else is still a bill. A savings contribution that does not happen is still missing. A credit card balance carried into the next month still creates pressure. A larger home kept longer than planned still costs money. That is why this conversation matters. Not because parents should stop helping. Not because adult children are the problem, but because unmeasured support can become one of the most overlooked expenses in a middle-class household. Most families track the obvious bills: the mortgage, the car payment, insurance, groceries, utilities, medical costs, credit cards, but help for adult children often does not appear as a formal line item. It is treated as temporary, even when it repeats. It is treated as emotional, even when it becomes financial. It is treated as separate from retirement, even when it directly competes with retirement. That is the hidden cost. And it can be especially painful for people in their 50s and 60s, because this stage of life often comes with pressure from both directions. Some are helping children, some are helping aging parents, some are trying to catch up on savings, some are still paying off debt they hoped would be gone by now. Some are beginning to realize that working longer may not be as simple as they once believed. For these households, generosity without boundaries can create a quiet squeeze. Again, this is not about shame. Most parents help because they care. Many adult children need help because the cost of standing on their own has become difficult. The question is not whether love belongs in a family. Of course it does. The question is whether the help is sustainable. There is a difference between support and open-ended rescue. Support has shape, it is understood, it has a purpose. It is measured, even if gently. Open-ended rescue can become unclear. It can stretch month after month. It can create dependence for one generation and insecurity for another. And often, the hardest part is that no one wants to say it plainly. Parents do not want to damage the relationship. Adult children do not want to disappoint their parents. Everyone keeps calling it temporary, even after it has become part of the household budget. That silence can become expensive, not just in dollars, but in stress. The stress of checking an account before saying yes. The stress of wondering whether retirement will have to wait. The stress of feeling loving and resentful at the same time. The stress of helping today while quietly fearing tomorrow. This is where personal finance becomes deeply personal. It is not only math, it is pride, family, sacrifice, hope, fear, the desire to look stable while feeling uncertain, the wish to help the next generation without becoming vulnerable yourself. And that is why this issue deserves a calm, honest look. The data from Pew, AARP, the Census Bureau, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the New York Fed, and Social Security all point toward the same broader reality. Many American families are carrying more pressure than they show. Adult independence is taking longer. Household debt remains heavy. Everyday costs continue to strain budgets, and parents are often stepping in to fill the gap. But parents are not unlimited financial institutions. They are households too. They have future medical needs. They have housing costs. They have insurance bills. They have retirement fears. They have years ahead that may require savings, flexibility, and stability. That can be easy to forget when someone you love needs help right now. The need in front of you feels urgent. The retirement risk in the future feels distant, but eventually, the future arrives. And a parent who helps too much for too long may one day face the same vulnerability they were trying to prevent for their child. That does not mean the answer is coldness. It means awareness. It means understanding that every dollar in a household has more than one possible job. It can solve a problem today. It can also protect flexibility tomorrow. It can help an adult child stabilize. It can also delay a parent's security. It can be an act of love and still be a cost. For many viewers, the most important question is not simply, should I help? The quieter question is, what is this help really costing, and can it continue without putting my own future at risk? That question is uncomfortable, but avoiding it does not make the cost disappear. A family can love each other and still speak honestly about money. A parent can care deeply and still recognize limits. An adult child can need support and still understand that support has consequences. Because the goal is not to choose between your children and your future. The goal is to stop pretending those two things are completely separate. Helping your adult children may be one of the most meaningful things you ever do. But if that help becomes invisible, unmeasured, and endless, it can quietly reshape the retirement you worked decades to build. And for many families, that is the hidden cost no one talks about until the silence has already become expensive.